This episode of Jack is brought to you by Weaver Leather.
So I'm entertaining Jack a little bit now because this is where day 2 stuff needs to start to happen. I didn't turn him loose today, so he's pretty fresh. And basically, there's still going to be some of what I call testing going on. He's pretty hooked on to me, meaning he's turning to face me, he's not trying to run away. But I'm going to start doing things that keep him on his toes, like jumping around him every once in a while. I want him to be interested in me, so that means I've got to make myself interesting. But I also want him to be a little bit, know that I'm not scared of him, because you can see he's big and he's powerful, and he's doing the same thing basically back to me. He's basically going, oh, you think you're going to stomp and scare me? What if I rear? Will I scare you? And so we're starting this conversation. And there's all kinds of different ways to start it. One thing I might do in the next couple days is set up a round pen, because a round pen will give me a big advantage because he's really big. And the round pen walls will help me. But right now, I was just sitting there holding pressure on the line, and then I'm just causing a little annoyance. And I'm teaching him how to follow this pressure to find the release on this rope. So if I put pressure on it and he follows it, then he gets a reward. If I put pressure on it and he doesn't, I can drive him to that pressure with this stick and string. What I want to do eventually is be able to lunge him. And I may change what I'm working on as we go. Jack and I are going to be talking. I can't fully lunge him. That was really good for the beginning because I just sent him out. I sent him around me, but I didn't lose control of him. He didn't drag me back to the barn. So this is how it starts. I might just back up here and see if he's going to give to the pressure. This is the side that yesterday he was a little more cautious to have me on, his offside. So we'll watch and see what he's like over here. That's when the stick and string touched him. But you'll notice I didn't release the pressure on the rope. I let it slide through my hand because I can't hold him still. But he doesn't get a release when he's pulling away. He's more hesitant to go this direction. There he came forward, but notice he puts me back onto his onside because he doesn't want me on the offside. That was a threat. Like he's actually kind of moving forward. He's acting like he might stomp and strike at the stick and string. Like that's actually a threat, kind of like that. And so that's where you're seeing some of the stallion, because that's more of a stallion type aggression. There he went the correct direction. He stomped and he wasn't real happy about it, but he stepped to the onside, my right. The rope halter helps me have an advantage. You can see his tail going. I mean, you can see him flinging his head, but you can see his tail going too, because he's just really wound up. He doesn't know what I want. And he's pretty strong. So there's all kinds of different things I could be doing right now with him. I'm electing to use this method right now because, there we go, because I'm still getting a read on him. But I've chosen, he's staying out of my space. I'm annoying him. You can see him over there licking and chewing, so that's why he finally went to my right. And now he's standing over there and he was licking and chewing. He's contemplating what just happened. He's still engaged even though he thought about leaving, and he thinks about dragging me away, but he's still interested. Enough of a little break for him to think about it. Again, I want to be able to tie him up in the stall eventually, so that's why I pull him back towards me like that. But again, I'm going to start with that same thing I was just doing. I've got pressure on the rope. That's why you can't tie him right now, because when the pressure was on the rope, you saw him back up. This is just barely waving over here to try to drive him to it, but you can see that he's actually, to try to drive him to my hand, but he's willing to actually kind of go after that stick and string. Interesting choices. There he went off the right direction, albeit with a whole bunch of attitude. Tail swished, licking and chewing. Now he's standing here contemplating it. It's like he's getting a crash course in a foreign language. And so he's trying to figure it out, and some horses, just like some people, approach it differently. And he's approaching it like he's not that interested. He's kind of sassy, but he's interested enough that he's staying here with me, but he's got a lot of attitude. He reminded me of a teenager that got signed up for a class she didn't want to go to. That right there, I don't like that he kind of, I do want to watch that he doesn't step to me too much. That's where I will be aggressive with him if he comes at me. So you flip the rope down back over the other side. If he starts dragging you by turning around, there he was headed towards the door. There we go. I would like to be able to not only send him out around me, but I'm going to have to teach him to disengage his hip at some point, because it's going to give me a lot more power over him, but little steps. That's his good way. So if you were paying attention, that's the way that it's pretty easy to send him off, because it puts me on his on side. It's the off side where he's giving me all the trouble. I'm just jumping just to make him stay interested. Move around. This is all on his on side. When I switch and go the other direction, he'll be different. Mostly he's different because he won't let me get to that off side. He keeps putting me on that on side. There, I'm over here for a minute. But he puts me onto this on side. That was much better. So I picked up the rope. I sent him to it with the stick and string. He went, he threw his head, but he didn't stand on his hind legs and try to run to the door, so we're making progress. He's figuring out some of this basic language. It's break time again.
In the next episode, watch for Jack's breakthrough moment when he finally starts looking to Stacy for leadership.